Hi, it's Chris, and this is my review of reading through the Bible in a year chronologically. Tonight, August 25th, read through Ezekiel, the end of chapter 26, actually verses 15 through 21, Ezekiel 27, and 28, and then got into 2 Kings 25, 3 through 7, Jeremiah 52, 6 through 11, and then Jeremiah 39, 2 through 10. And interesting enough, those last three were basically the same story, same account of the death of King Zedekiah. And two of those accounts were in the book of Jeremiah. The more detailed account was in chapter 39, and the slightly less detailed account was in chapter 52. And a slightly less detailed account was in 2 Kings. So interesting how God does that for us and paints a picture. And I'm curious to now go back and read how that reads out in a non-chronological way. They put it together chronologically, but how is it laid out for us in the Bible? Why does it read that way? I don't know. The other thing that got me here is we have a very detailed description of the island of Tyre and the destruction of Tyre and all the warnings of the destruction of Tyre. And we have a funeral song and then a message for the Tyre's king. And when I read the message for Tyre's king in Ezekiel 28, starting in verse 11, 12, I see what I've heard as the way Satan is described. And I have to go back and wonder, that's another thing I got to dig into. Is this where people get the idea of where Satan came from? Is this the description of Satan? How he was filled with pride, and he was full of beauty, and he was blameless up to the point where evil was found in you. And then he was cast out, and all these things that when I've heard different times people describe Satan, this is what I'm reading here. So another thing I want to dig into it, look into it, something to question, something to look at, something to think about. So why is that with Tyre? And then he goes on with Sidon as well. And then we see the fall of Zedekiah. And we know that fall of Zedekiah didn't have to go like that, didn't have to be so awful. It's described pretty awfully. But it didn't have to be, because Ezekiel and Jeremiah both warned him that this is how it would play out. And especially the people there. They could have all surrendered. Whoever surrendered would have been given their life. And we also see that people, the Israelites, there were poor Israelites that are left there. And we'll get more into that with when we get into Nehemiah and Ezra as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading Daniel, because that's all in this time period as well, because he's one of the exiles. And yeah, wow, we get into Lamentations and Obadiah. We got a little bit of everything still. Boy, we got a lot of reading to do. But anyway, that's really all I got tonight. So God bless.